Here we are inside the Benimar Mileo 294. If we firstly come to the main control panel up here, we can turn the 12 volts on. We need to push this button first and then this one. Once we've done this, we can then turn the water pump on. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. Next we have the button for the outside awning light. After that, most of the buttons along the bottom here just give us information. So this first one here will give us the condition of the leisure battery. And then after that, this one will give us a condition of the vehicle battery. If we want to know how much water is in the fresh tank, we just press this one. When the grey water tank is approaching the point where it's going to need emptying, a red light will begin to flash just where my finger is here, next to the waste tank symbol. When the water drops out of the amber into the red, this amber one here will flash occasionally just to let you know that you need to be thinking about topping up your fresh water. And if either of the batteries were a bit too low, again you're going to get flashing indications next to them. This last button just here just controls the illumination of this control panel. So we can dim it right the way down and brighten it all the way back up again. This one just here is just letting us know that we have main supply connected to the van, and we will get an illumination just here next to the two batteries just to let you know the alternator is charging them when the engine is running. Beside this main control panel, we then have the Truma control panel for the heating and hot water. We turn this one on just here. What I will firstly do is just literally adjust the contrast of the screen so we can just see it slightly better. So let's just dim that down. Okay. So as you can see, as I rotate this button just here, these icons begin to flash. If we start with this first one here, it is for your heating. So if we now click the button, heating is off. And all we now need to do is just rotate it and pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome, and it will go up to a rather toasty 30 degrees. So let's say we want it to be 30 degrees in here. Just click to store it in, and you'll now see a little flame just appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is actually in operation, the flame will begin to flash just to let you know it's running and that it's building up to temperature. So now once 30 degrees has been achieved, that's the thermostat just there. Obviously the heating would then turn off and this flashing would go to a solid state. After that, we then have hot water. If I now click on it, again hot water is off. We can heat in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. We can heat in hot, which is about 60 degrees, and we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one person having a shower in quick succession of each other. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, the heating will turn off as it needs to use that extra power to perform the boost. So if I now drop it back down to eco, you'll see the heating comes back on and you can see water is now heating up. And exactly the same as your heating, once the desired temperature is achieved, this flashing up here will go to a solid state. After heating and hot water, we then have power source. So we are currently using mains electricity at 2 kilowatts. We can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt, so if we're in a lower amp site to stop ourselves from tripping. We can run in dual fuel. Dual fuel is extremely handy, especially in the winter months. If you want to get up to temperature really quickly, it will only use the gas as it is required. So we've got dual fuel gas and mains at 2 kilowatt and gas and mains at 1 kilowatt. And if we have no mains at all, we can solely run on gas. But I'm now going to put us back onto mains at 2 kilowatts. After power source selection, we then have the circulation fan for the heating system. So currently the fan is in eco mode. What we can do is turn it up to high. And if I now turn off hot water and I turn off the heating, what we can also use that fan for is to vent the motorhome. So on a warm day, if you just want to circulate the air, you can put it into vent, and then it's got a fan speed of 1 to 10. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So we just click on it and then we just set when we would like the timer to begin and then end. And then once we've done that, we literally just add what we would like on within that time period. Once we've done that, timer off, timer on. If I now put the timer on, the timer icon will come up there, and now within that time period those settings would then apply. If I now return to it, I can turn the timer back off again, and when we go back we can alter it. The next icon is literally just the clock set. And then the last one, right next to the little symbol there that lets you know you have main supply connected, is the settings menu. So we have offset, which is literally just for this thermostat here. So if you don't think it's quite correct, you can adjust it slightly. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. The brightness of the screen, 12 or 24 hour clock. Language. Index, which is more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software it's running. And then full factory reset. From time to time these things will throw up error codes. They're usually basic stuff, so if we're trying to run it on mains and we don't have main supply, it's going to let us know. And exactly the same as if you're running it on gas and you have no gas available. What will happen is a warning triangle will appear where my finger is, just here, and if you then click on it, it will show the error code in the window just here. If you then look in the manual or you Google it, it will tell you what the problem is. 9 times out of 10, if you rectify the problem, the error code will just automatically disappear. If that's not the case, just go back to the warning triangle and double press on it, and then it will usually then say no error and disappear. If that hasn't solved the issue, if you've still got anything running up the top here, so if you've got heating or hot water on, etc., just turn them off, because again it can reassess itself a lot faster when it's not doing lots of things. If that does not work, it's then the good old-fashioned turn it off, turn it back on again. And the way we turn this control panel completely off is just by holding it in until off appears on the screen. If when you turn it back on again you still have the error code, I then always just suggest doing the factory reset. Sometimes the control panels can just glitch and they just need to be reset. If the problem is a gas code, the trimmer system will only let you try the reset a certain number of times, and then it will lock you out for 15 minutes. Once the 15 minutes has passed, you can then try again. If we now come to this seat here and we just remove the cushions, underneath here we have the trimmer boiler itself just here, and then we have the drain valve for it just here. This drain valve is automatic, so if the temperature within this van drops below 3 or 4 degrees, this drain valve will automatically open to drop any water that's in the boiler to frost protect itself. What we can also do is manually drain it, and if we are going to do that, what we need to do is come to this little blue diamond here and twist it. So if I now just stick my hand down here and twist, We will then throw all the water out of the boiler. Do make sure the water pump's turned off. And then to reset it, we twist it back again. And at the base of the unit, a blue button has popped out. Just down where my finger is travelling. What we need to do is push it back in, and it will then reset. And then all we need to do is turn the water pump back on, and then it will refill the boiler from the fresh water tank. If this auto drains, all that will happen is the blue button will just pop out and you just need to push it back in to reset. If it will not reset, it's just still too cold in the motorhome, and you will just need to turn your heating on to generate some heat to allow it to reset. The other reason why the blue button will not stay in is if this blue diamond is not in the correct position. Also in here we have the trip switches just underneath the flap just here. We have the 12 volt fuses just here. If you are going to blow a 12 volt fuse, it will probably be this yellow 20 amp fuse just here, and that is for the electric bed. If there is too much stuff on the bed and you put it up, if the motor goes under too much pressure, it will blow a fuse to protect itself. And then we have the battery chargers just here and here. This one here also lets you know what the solar panel is up to. Because this van is fully winterized, if we now come down just behind the driver's seat, you'll see there is a switch just down here, and it is on when the yellow light is illuminated. This controls the tank heater in the waste tank. So if you are using the van in extremely cold climate and there's a danger of freezing, you can just turn this on to avoid any frost damage. The fresh tank does not have a heater in it because it is an onboard water tank, and it's just located underneath these front travel seats just here. So sitting on top of it we have the water pump just here, and we can also gain access to the fresh water tank just here if we want to add cleaning powders, solutions, etc. The Avtex TV just sits here, on and off on this button just here. This television does also have, so if I just pull it out slightly down this side here, a DVD player, and sitting in the top of it, it also has USB plug-in points as well. Behaves like most televisions. You have your TV guide just here. Because this is a travel television and it needs retuning in as you move around, this is the retune button just here, so it's just a matter of just holding it in and it will then take you straight back to the retune menu, and then you just need to press OK to retune it back in again. The microwave is just here and we'll work on main supply. We have the timer just above just here, and then power settings just down here. As you can see, it is also a grill and a combi. It is advisable to remove the contents for travel. Sitting above it, inside the cupboard, is the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof. We control the boost just here, and we can turn it on and off just on the side just here. And also located in here is the iNet box for the Truma heating and hot water. If you want to control your heating and hot water via the Truma app, you need to use this box. So firstly, download the app onto your device, make sure your Bluetooth is turned on, and then launch. Once it loads up, you'll see a button that needs to be pressed that says remote control. Once you do that, you then just need to follow the on-screen instructions. It will firstly ask you to come to this box and press the Bluetooth button. Once you've done this, you can then connect up and then control your heating and hot water wirelessly via Bluetooth. What you can also do is pop a pay-as-you-go SIM card in where my finger is here and register that through the app, and then you can then control from much further afield. Beneath the microwave we then have the Thetford fridge freezer, on and off on this button just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently hooked up to mains electricity, it's put us onto main supply with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I now went outside and unplugged us from the mains, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and as soon as we start the engine of the motorhome, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep itself cold whilst on the move. We can, so if I just tap here again to re-illuminate, we can take it out of auto, so I can manually put it onto mains. I can manually put it onto 12 volt. We're going to get an error code at the moment because the engine isn't running, and I can manually put it onto gas, but auto is the easiest one to have it on. Temperature control just here, and then this last button here just controls the unit anti-condensation jacket. So currently the jacket is turned on, and this basically prevents the unit from building up condensation in hot weather. When the weather is cold, we can turn the jacket back off again. We then have the freezer box just here and the fridge just here, and because it is a very large fridge, we do have a secondary travel catch just sitting at the bottom here. And then to turn the unit back off again, just hold the button in. In the cutlery drawer, we have all of the gas isolation taps just here. They are all in the on position and they can stay like this. They are more for maintenance than anything else. If you smell gas in the van, it's always advisable just to go to the gas bottle and turn it off. We have the extractor fan, so we have light on and off just here, and then fan on and off here. We have the electric hot plate that runs off main supply. Just on this one here, light comes on to let you know it's in operation, and then everything else is gas. So it's just push in, twist and press the igniter. Oven and grill beneath, push in to the left for the oven and push in to the right for the grill. Above my head we have the Omnivent fan. To raise the vent, just turn, and then we have on in the middle. And then we have arrows out for extraction just here. Variable fan speed just by pressing. And then cooling by then pressing the opposite way. Back off again, and then do make sure that all the roof vents are down for travel. We then have the shower cubicle just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is completely clipped back for travel. We then remove this part just here for when we are actually using the shower. We have storage in the floor. And we have the toilet just here. The bowl does move about. Open to the cassette just on this lever here, and then press to flush, and then close the cassette back up again. If this is left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you are getting some resistance, just come into the van and make sure nobody's left the hatch open. Level indicator just here to let you know when the cassette needs emptying. Then we have the basin. We can flap the end of the bed up and we can get to storage compartments just here. We then also have drawers in the centre, and we do need to slide the doors across to gain access to them. And then if we undo here, we can then pull them out. With the electric drop down bed, do make sure that the sink glass is down before lowering, and then just press the button to lower. Do also make sure that the television has been put back in to its place. Then the bed comes down like so. Attach your ladder to these points. We then have netting that can be clipped up to the ceiling. If we now raise the bed back up again, if this was to malfunction in any way, so you can't get the bed up or down, it can be manually wound. So we have the winding tool just here. If we look directly underneath here, we can remove the blanking cover, and then tucked up here we have a 13mm nut that can then be screwed with that tool. There are USB charge points just tucked in both of these front lights just here.